We like to think we know about the animal kingdom. We know that fish swim, birds fly, and rabbits multiply. But there are some animals that are not what we expect them to be. They defy the logic of what we expect of them, or of animals in general. These following animals are the very definition of odd, and you don't even need to try hard to find and see some of them. They're all around us, and we've probably seen some without even realizing. Here is a list of animals that you would probably think aren't real, but we can confirm that they are very real. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Number 10. The fish that doesn't swim. Common logic has it that a fish should be able to swim. Well, there is one that can't swim. The fish is red-lipped batfish, or Ogcocephalus darwini. The red-lipped batfish is found in the waters off the Galapagos Islands, where it walks on the seabed instead of swimming like other fish. Even the walking motion has been described as more of a stagger than a walk. It is unknown why the red-lipped batfish moves the way it does, although it is assumed its bat-like body is not streamlined enough. The fish walks with its pectoral and pelvic fins, which other fish use to swim, and propels itself forward with its anal fin. The red-lipped batfish's seeming inability to swim has some positive outcomes though. It has no predators and is generally unaffected by any change in the environment, since it's usually hanging out on the floor. This allows it to live for 12 years on average, despite its small size. Number 9. The snake that resembles an earthworm. Most people who have seen the Brahminy blind snake, also known as Indotyphilus brahminis, do not know that they've seen it. This is because it looks so closely like an earthworm. It's been introduced in most parts of the world, which means a good number of us may have seen one without realizing it. Fear not, they're not venomous. The Brahminy blind snake is native to Southeast Asia, from where it spread to other parts of the world. It's usually found in the soil and under rotting leaves and logs. It's also found in gardens, flower beds, and flower pots. In fact, it's believed to have been unknowingly exported out of Asia while living inside flower pots. This is why it's also called the flower pot snake. Like all snakes, the Brahminy blind snake is covered in shiny scales. It has a pair of eyes, which are barely visible, and a tiny tongue. It will usually stick out this tongue when held. It does not have a segmented body like earthworms, and cannot stretch or contract like earthworms do. The snake feeds on ants and termite eggs, and grows to between 6.4 and 16.5 centimeters in length. Number 8. A dog that doesn't bark. Again, common logic has it that dogs bark. Let's talk about Basenji, which doesn't bark. It's nicknamed the barkless dog for this reason. It can howl, shriek, cough, and make a yodel-like sound, but it doesn't bark. The dog, whose name translates to bush thing, was first bred in ancient Egypt. It later made its way to the Congo, where tribes used it for hunting. This is why it's sometimes called the Congo Terrier or the Zande dog. The Basenji was first exported to England in 1937 after a series of failed attempts to export it in the 19th and 20th centuries. It made its way to the US thereafter. Number 7. A fish that lives on land. The Pacific leaping blenny is a fish that lives exclusively on land. While we've mentioned fish that are fond of leaving the water to hunt for animals on land in an earlier list, those fish still return to the water from time to time. It seems like the Pacific leaping blenny did not get that memo. It exclusively lives on land and detests the water so much that it flees from the smallest of waves. Whether it's afraid of water or just hates it, we're not sure. The Pacific leaping blenny has gills for breathing in water, but has evolved to breathe through its skin when on land. There is a caveat though. The skin has to be moist. The fish keeps its skin moist by rolling in puddles that form by the shoreline. This is the reason why it just hangs around rocks and caves by the ocean and does not stray far away. They can be found on the rocks around the island of Guam. Number 6. The mammal that lays eggs. The first scientists to analyze a specimen of a platypus thought it was fake, and it's not hard to see why. The platypus looks like a mashed up cross between a duck, a beaver, and an otter. It has a bill, webbed feet, a tail, and a body covered with thick fur. It also lays eggs, making it one of only 2 mammals that do so. The other is the echidna. To complete the weirdness, the males produce venom, which they release from their rear leg spurs. Scientists have sequenced the DNA of the platypus and discovered that it contains the DNA of birds and reptiles. They also discovered that it has 10 sex chromosomes, 5X and 5Y. For comparison, we humans have just 1X and 1Y chromosome in males. This means the platypus, theoretically, should be able to produce 25 different sexes, although it only has 2. Number 5. Warm-blooded fish. Fish are known to be cold-blooded animals, so imagine how astounded researchers were when they found a warm-blooded one. Introducing the Oppa lampris guttatus, aka the moonfish, which is the only warm-blooded fish we found. The discovery was made by researchers with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. While other fish take the temperature of their environment, the Oppa is able to regulate its own temperature by constantly flapping its pectoral fin. It also uses a counter heat exchange method that allows it to use the warm, deoxygenated blood leaving its gills to warm the cooler, oxygenated blood flowing into its gills. The result is that the Oppa can dive to deeper depths than many other fish. It can also remain down below for a longer period of time, unlike other fish, which need to rise closer to the surface to keep their organs working. The Oppa is also able to swim faster and see better, and has a faster reaction time than other fish. Number 4. Lizard without legs. Try recalling the lizards you're familiar with, and you'll realize they all have 4 legs. This is even though there are lizards that don't have any legs. Most people confuse these lizards for snakes, even though they're not. Legless lizards evolved from leg lizards and have characteristics similar to them. Legless lizards and snakes have some things in common though. They both have scales and forked tongues. They also eat eggs and small animals like mice, though the legless lizard have a limit to what they can swallow because their jaws are not flexible like snakes. However, some species, like the Burton's legless lizard, have flexible jaws and can even hiss and kill by constriction, like snakes. On the other hand, legless lizards have eyelids and ear openings, while snakes do not. They also move with their sides and cannot move with their belly scales like snakes. This is the reason why legless lizards cannot move on smooth surfaces. Number 3. The animal with the DNA of plants, bacteria, and fungi. The tardigrade, also known as the water bear, is a microscopic animal famous for its ability to withstand the harshest conditions. It's found from the depths of the coldest oceans to the summits of the highest mountains to the sands of the hottest deserts. It will even survive the radiation of space and can be brought back to life with the addition of water, even if it's been dried out for decades. Scientists looked into the DNA of the tardigrade and discovered that 17.5% of it is from plants, bacteria, and fungi. The presence of bacteria DNA is believed to be the reason it can survive extreme conditions. While some animals have shown up with the DNA of other organisms, the proportion of the tardigrade is pretty high. Only the microscopic rotifer comes close at 9%. The mystery that remains unsolved is how the tardigrade makes the foreign DNA work with its own. And with that, it's now time for today's subscriber pick. Today's photo was sent to us by one of our subscribers, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it on over to us. We might even feature it on a future video. Number 2. This picture is clearly photoshopped because there isn't any snake with more than 2 or 3 faces, let alone 5. It might certainly be the animal which no one would believe if it actually existed, but unfortunately, the picture's photoshopped. There are snakes which have multiple faces, and maybe that's where the person who made this got the idea from. Number 1. The animal that can photosynthesize like a plant. We all know that plants create their food from carbon dioxide and water with the aid of sunlight through photosynthesis. What we do not know is that an animal has learned to use photosynthesis to create its own food. Introducing the green sea slug, also known as Elysia chlorotica, one of the few animals with the ability to photosynthesize. Found in New England and Canada, the green sea slug resembles a cross between a sea slug and a plant, thanks to its top rear that resembles a leaf. The leaf-like look is the product of feeding on algae. The sea slug somehow managed to take the genes from the algae, which is how it can create its own chlorophyll for photosynthesis. This means the slug can continue to exist even if it does not eat. Researchers at the University of South Florida, Tampa, who have been studying the slugs for over 2 decades, captured some and put them in an aquarium. They observed that the slugs continued to live for months without feeding, provided that they were exposed to 12 hours of light a day. The slugs were also able to pass the chlorophyll gene to their offspring, although the offspring were unable to perform photosynthesis until they were fed on algae to get chloroplasts, which are necessary for photosynthesis. And that's our list of the top 10 most unusual animals that are difficult to believe in. Which animal do you think is the most unusual that you didn't expect to be real? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And as always, thanks for watching.